Hello, welcome to another episode of Optics Trade Debates. I'm Andras.
My name is Theodor. Hello.
Today we'll be discussing another term that you can find on specification tables of products on our webpage. And this specific term is called bright light cutoff. And I went, checked our emails, and I checked some questions, gathered them, and I'm going to ask them today. And the first one is, of course, on which devices can we find bright light cutoff?
Well, on a really narrow segment of all the devices that we sell, and this is the bright light cutoff. It's a term which is used only with analog night vision devices. So with all night vision devices which feature analog cathode to amplify light. It is sometimes a little bit of confusion because digital night vision devices have a similar function which is called automatic brightness control. And even some manufacturers always use both terms in both two devices. But if we concentrate strictly on bright light cutoff, it can only be found on analog night vision devices. So with the cathodes inside which amplify light.
So here we have two examples of such devices.
Monocular night vision, analog monocular, and binocular.
Yes, and the next obvious question is, of course, what is the function of bright light cutoff?
Well, especially the older models were lacking this function. So the problem occurred when you were using them normally in night, when in darkness, and when you were observing objects in darkness, the device functioned normally. Then, if you were panning or something similar, or if something really bright came into your field of view, let's say a car with lights, or if you're panning and finally suddenly you see a source of bright light, a really unwanted situation happens, because we know that each cathode amplifies light for many thousand times, and when you're observing, let's say, a dark field, you're seeing the picture okay, and if you have an illuminator, you see, let's say, to 200 meters or something like that, all the objects there. But if suddenly you look into the bright shining car lights, or let's say any other lights in the buildings or something like that, artificial, really powerful light sources, the cathode amplifies those lights the same way and with the same level, with the same ratio as it did when you were looking at the darkness. And the first thing what happens is that your eye receives a couple of thousand units of light more than it did a couple of seconds before that, when you were observing the objects in the darkness. And the first thing is that it can hurt your eye. It's not like looking in the sun and you can go blind. In most devices it was not so bad, but still it hurts your eye. The second thing is your pupil grows up immediately to 7 millimeters, because now you have a bright light coming outside of the device. And then if you're panning further, or if, let's say, if you're going and looking again in the next second of the objects in complete darkness, you'll have problems seeing anything, because then your pupil is fully dilated and you're not seeing enough. So then your eye needs to contract back to see the objects in the darkness, when the image in the device is much more dark, not so bright. And this is something that can be really, really annoying. If you're, let's say, observing a really dark field or a forest, and then you suddenly turn around and you're observing a city or a road with cars with bright lights, then it's a problem, because first of all it hurts your eye, second of all you have problems adjusting so quickly on changes. And this is the reason why with new night vision analog devices this function was added, the bright light cutoff, which adjusts the gain, or how to say, how much the cathode amplifies light according to the power of the light source. So that the difference when you're looking in the city full of lights and when you're looking at the forest, which is really dark, the difference in the image you're seeing in the device is much smaller than it would be if the cathode wouldn't be regulated. If this analog cathode which amplifies light would amplify all light at the same level, then you have no bright cutoff, and then you have these problems. But if it's regulated so that it doesn't amplifies powerful light sources the same way it does with dark objects, that means that your eye can adopt quickly.
Does this function that's added to the analog night vision devices also prevent damage to the device itself, perhaps?
Well, this is a term which it depends from the manufacturer to manufacturer. Some devices, if you're using them and they get exposed to the powerful light source, they get damaged. The analog not
ones.
The digital.
So these ones are.
Yeah, but some are protected better than the others. Even this function can also probably protect them. That if you look into the light source, that the device doesn't fail, simply.
So you really gave me a thorough answer. I had one more question, which you already partially covered. So the question was, is it a huge disadvantage if an analog device such as these ones, if it does not have this function? Is this a huge disadvantage? Probably yes.
Well, it depends where you're using it. If you're using it only in dark forests or in environments where there is no artificial light sources and no powerful light sources, then it shouldn't be a big disadvantage. The problem is that environments like this are really, really sparse in the world. Yes. So if you're going to Antarctica, you will be okay, even if it doesn't have a bright light cutoff. But if you're using it anywhere where it's a possibility that you observe dark objects in the forest at one moment and then in the next moment, let's say car lights, then you need a bright light cutoff function in a device. And I also think with all modern devices, it's better to buy a device which has this function than to buy a device without this function.
So near the urban areas and even a little bit outside, this function will do great.
Yeah,
it's a great
I think it's almost a necessary function. It's a must-have.
Thank you. So we've covered the questions that I had. We answered them. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If there was anything forgotten in the video, so we forgot to mention something, you can either send us an email or leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching and see you next time.
Thank you.